Did you know there is a strange mistake in the story of Abraham? We think he stood up against idol worship. But what if the Babylonians didn't worship idols at all? They say that when he was young, he went into the Babylonian temple, smashed the idols and left the axe in the hand of the biggest one. When people asked, "Why did you do this?" he said, "The big idol did this. If it can speak, ask it yourself." Then he told them, "Why do you worship statues that cannot even speak?" But here's the problem. In Babylon and in other ancient civilizations, the statues themselves were not literally worshipped. They were seen as symbols of the gods. Think about this. Imagine someone walks into a church and sees Christians bowing before statues of Jesus or Mary and says, "Why do you worship these statues?" Christians would reply, "We don't worship these statues. They are just symbols." Likewise, if someone asks Muslims why they worship the Kaaba, they answer, "We don't worship the Kaaba." But don't the actions done by Muslims and Christians look exactly like worship? The truth is, people in Babylon, Egypt, India and elsewhere knew perfectly well that their idols were made by human hands. They respected them as symbols of their gods, not as the gods themselves. There's even a joke about this story. It goes like this. Abraham said, "Why do you worship gods that cannot speak?" A Babylonian replied, "Does your God speak?" And Abraham said, "Here only I ask the questions." This joke makes a sharp point. Abraham himself was representing a God not so different in essence from the very idols he destroyed. Another important detail often ignored is that the Babylonians didn't kill Abraham after this outrage. In some later Jewish sources outside the Torah, it is said that King Nimrod threw Abraham into a fire, but God saved him. But even then, not a single Babylonian was moved to follow Abraham's God. How could such a miracle happen and yet convince no one? According to their story, Abraham simply migrated away afterwards. Now imagine someone is visiting the tomb of Jesus today, sees Christians kneeling at the anointing stone, assumes they are worshipping the stone and tries to destroy it, like Abraham did with the idols. Or imagine someone goes to Mecca, sees Muslims prostrating toward the Kaaba and tries to destroy it. Do I need to explain what would happen? You can bet he wouldn't live alive. In fact, only about 82 years ago, in 1943, a 22-year-old Iranian pilgrim named Abu Talib Yazdi went to Mecca for Hajj. There he became ill and vomited near the Kaaba. He had no intention of disrespect, but some Egyptian pilgrims saw it as an insult to the Kaaba. They beat him severely and handed him over to the authorities. The local Saudi court sentenced him to death, and he was publicly beheaded. So, who deserves more respect? The Babylonians who didn't harm Abraham even after he smashed their idols on purpose? Or monotheists who thousands of years later execute one of their own fellow believers merely on suspicion of disrespect, while knowing full well that the Kaaba is just a symbol, not God? Even if the Babylonians worshipped stones, I'd rather stand with them. Worship a stone, but never kill a human for it, and still let Muslims or Christians walk away unharmed if they smashed it. Many people think religion is about belief or doctrine, but maybe the real measure of religion is method and conduct, how you treat others. If your faith, no matter how true you believe it is, makes you harsh, arrogant, and violent, then it is nothing more than corruption. Just look at Daesh, also called ISIS, or the Taliban. See what they did to Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan. Even if, for the sake of argument, we accept their beliefs as true, isn't their way of life the clearest picture of their religion? Look at how Afghan women despise them. After years of Taliban rule, girls are still forbidden to go to school. The truth is that what matters is not belief, but behavior. Respect, compassion, honesty and service define a person, not the doctrine they follow. Truly, your behavior is the most accurate expression of your worldview. Let me be clear, this video is not about mocking Abraham. He lived 4,000 years ago, and human ideas of morality and justice have grown enormously, even in just the past century. My question is different. Isn't the hope of escaping personal responsibility for our actions and choices one of the main reasons we cling to faith? As long as we tie ourselves to one creed, we will always be in conflict with the followers of other creeds. That's why living by faith will never lead humanity to a shared moral understanding. When I see the ongoing hostilities between Muslims and Christians, whether insults or violence, I can't help but think of football fans fighting after a match. So what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Whether you are a believer, a free thinker, or not religious at all, let's have a calm and meaningful conversation together. And if you'd like to follow where this inquiry leads, please subscribe to the channel.